What is up, Buckeye Scoop family, on this wonderful Tuesday evening? Hope all is well with you. Good to see you guys in the chat per usual. Do not ever take y'all for granted. What's up, Stilly Matt? What's up, everybody? Already getting it going before we get it going. But as always, please take a second, like right now. Do it right now. Don't wait. Like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And real quick, we got a countdown going on. It's always fun to do countdowns. We got 7 days until Big Ten Media Days. We got 16 days until fall camp starts. And we got 46 Tim Spencer days until we play Texas. I had to look for number 46, and I think he was the best one. I'll get Nevada's opinion on that in a second. But also remember, Super Chats go to the Pay It Forward for our military, our first responders. Very, very important people. So we're going to look out for them. Just want to remind you of that. Appreciate you. And let's bring in the brother Nevada Buck. Nevada, was Tim Spencer the best pick for the 46 days left? Are you guys?
Yeah. No, he's the one that definitely jumps to mind for sure. And one of my favorite players of all time. When I was growing up, Tim Spencer was he was the guy. He was the guy long before a lot of other guys became the guy. But Tim Spencer was great. And I don't know if he's underrated or not because he played in the NFL for a bit and it really had a nice career at Ohio State. But yeah, now 40. If I'm going with 46, now you get to 45, I probably know where we're going with that one. But 46, yeah, I think 46. I think you picked the right one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That's a big day. 45. But with that said, I thought it was pretty good too. There's a kid on the team currently, as I was using the Google machine, and his name is Rudzinski. I think he's a backup kicker or punter, number 46. And at first I was like, is that like an old 1950s Buckeye before I was born? And it was just this little 2025 scrawny kid. I think he's like a special teams guy.
Well, that's got to be like a Jerry Rudzinski legacy type of thing or something like that from the old school Rudzinski.
That's what I thought.
It had to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I looked it up, and it's this Ryan Rudzinski. Is that Jerry Rudzinski's grandson?
I don't know. I don't know if it's grandkid or nephew or whatever. I'm not sure where. But I'd be surprised if Rudzinski ended up at Ohio State and it wasn't related somehow. That would be surprising to me.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. He's a safety. I believe he's a walk-on kid, Bishop Watterson. Yeah, I think he might be Rudzinski's family member. I'm gonna try to confirm that. Because there's not too many. Yep, there it is. Father Jerry Rudzinski played linebacker for the Buckeyes. That's it.
You're like father, his grandfather. You told Jerry Rudzinski, is that your grandkid?
I'm sorry, Jerry. My bad if you watch.
Where's B. Moses? I'm going to put his address. You can go to his house right now, man.
Oh man, Jerry's about to yoke me up when he see me at the tailgate. My bad, bro. I made you just super old and decrepit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was thinking when you were saying that, I'm like, man, I mean, I'm not really good with time. Like, I'm really good with remembering things, but I don't remember time, like dates and stuff. But I was thinking, I don't think Jerry Rudzinski's that old. But hey, if B wants to go with that, man, I'm going to support my brother on that. So
yeah, I am tripping. This is from 1994 to 98. I done put this man back in the 60s.
Now, wasn't Jerry number 33 too? So in that case, when we come to 33, we got to make Jerry Rudzinski the best 33 at Ohio State in honor of him being a grandfather of a current player on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's
yeah, we can make up for that. Let's make sure we do that. Oh, good Lord. Man, I'm about to get an anonymous text. But anyway, good stuff. So listen. Got another great show for y'all today. We're going to be talking about, the Big Ten's plan for the college football playoffs and some of the talk going on. All the conference media days are rolling out, SEC and the Big Ten's coming up. So Nevada Buck is going to give us some insight. We're going to talk about that and really kind of give some hints to the future of what's coming or what's not coming. So Nevada, let's talk about it, man. Let's kick it off. What's your thoughts on the developments of Greg Sankey and the SEC commissioner and what what's going on with that in the Big Ten and the 12-team playoff going to a 16 and all that stuff.
Well, here's what you have to understand, and some of this may be redundant, but I'm going to do college football playoff future for dummies. And the way that it's set up right now, the Big Ten and the SEC control the future of the college football playoff. They are the votes the only votes that matter are the Big Ten and the SEC. But the Big Ten and the SEC have to agree. So if the Big Ten and the SEC agree on a path forward, it happens. If they don't agree on a path forward, it just continues as it's currently configured. So that's the basis that you have to understand. So the Big Ten and the SEC, while they see a lot, they're aligned on a lot of issues. They have a little bit of a different view regarding the future of the college football playoff. The Big Ten is desirous of a program where you have auto qualifiers. Where they would give auto qualifiers based upon the strength of the conference, but it would be set like the Big Ten would get 4 auto qualifiers, the SEC would get 4 auto qualifiers, the ACC would get like 2. It would just kind of go around there, and then you'd have a few at-large teams that could kind of earn their way in with the extra auto bids. The SEC wants to do something where there's only 5 auto qualifiers, the winners of the 5 conferences, and everything else is based upon rankings. So merit based. That the reason the SEC wants to do that is a couple reasons. One, the SEC believes that their strength of schedule will help them in terms of getting, they feel that they could have 4, 5, 6 worthy teams some years in terms of the college football playoff, and they don't want to be limited by the auto qualifiers. Two, because the way that the SEC schedules, and we've talked about the SEC scheduling for years, how the SEC has been ahead of the Big Ten, ahead of anybody else in terms of scheduling generally week out of conference games, and then going to like week 11 Mercer or week 11 Furman or something like that before their rivalry games.
Yeah.
They feel that puts themselves at a competitive edge. Their lack of difficult scheduling, they feel, puts them in a prime position to win merit-based um, spots on the college football playoff. Because when you really look at the college football playoff, what's it going to come down to in a 12-team, let's say under the current configuration, 12-team playoff? It's going to be number of losses. And no matter what anybody says about how good your wins are and strength of schedule and how well you played on the road at this team, it's losses. It's always been losses. It will be losses. It was losses last year when Ohio State lost twice to Michigan and at number 1 Oregon by 1 point, and then Penn State, who ended up with 2 losses at the end of the season, was rated over them. Nobody could, it makes no sense. Nothing makes any sense in terms of it. It's always been that way. And so the SEC feels like they've got an advantage on that. They want to go to, if they agree to expand the playoff, they want to go to something that doesn't have auto qualifiers but has more ranks. Now, for the Big Ten, believes that their schedule is that the Big Ten schedule top to bottom is tougher than the SEC's in terms of just the games, week in and week out. And they also prize these big out of conference games. This year obviously we're playing Texas. We've played Notre Dame. We've got games coming up against Alabama, up against Georgia, and USC. I mean, we've played everybody over the years in terms of the big out of conference games, and they don't want to take the luster away, because if you go back to the first point about it's all about losses, if you have auto qualifiers, that reduces the impact of those big out of conference losses. You could still qualify as one of the top 4 teams in the Big Ten and still make it to the college football playoff. So that's what they're doing now. So right now, the Big Ten and the SEC are kind of in a little bit of a standoff. And what Greg Sankey for the SEC is saying is, well, if we can't get it together, we'll just continue as it's currently configured, 12 teams, because he knows that the Big Ten is desirous of expanding this. So it's a little bit of a game of chicken between Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey in terms of whether we go forward or not, or how we go forward. And I think a lot of it's going to be based upon how this year's playoff goes. Because remember, this year's playoff, you don't have the crazy seeding that they did last year that led to the wonky playoff brackets and things like that. So it's going to change things a little bit in terms of things going forward. But yeah, I think it's really one of the more fascinating stories, because the move ultimately is to a super conference, to
Yeah.
one conference where you've got the Big Ten, the SEC, and they've gobbled up all the little remnants of all the other teams. And one of those schools, one of those, the SEC or Big Ten, is going to be in charge, because in a merger, always somebody's in charge. They can say it's a merger between two equals, but it never is. One of the equal is more equal than the other one. And I think who wins this next battle of wills regarding the future of the playoff expansion is going to be kind of nudging ahead in terms of kind of taking the lead for the titular head of this new super conference, which ultimately that's where college football is going to end up with 50 or 60 teams, one big conference, and much like an NFL model of playoffs and things like that. Because right now there aren't, you've got 130 teams or whatever it is in Division One football, and the bottom line is there's not really 130 worthy teams that are in and out, year in and year out, going to be a competitor for the big, for the national championship. They need to cut that down, make it a little bit more competitive, and create another conference for teams that can compete on a different level. But that's what's going on as of today. Really interesting story. Battle between Petiti and Sankey, two of the heavyweights in college football right now, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So a couple things. First of all, I want to say I've always despised the late season, Alabama, Furman, Coastal Carolina and LSU in week 11 before the rivalry game. Like, I never thought that was right, compared to what, we got to go on the road to Maryland and like, or something, or
Yeah, at Illinois or something like that. Yeah,
exactly before the
yeah,
rivalry game. And I always hated that because SEC fans love to, the Little 10, and you guys play cupcakes and your schedule's weak. It's always garbage. And so that's the one thing. All right. And I can see them trying, like, you're not going to pry this from our cold dead hands. I can see that. But I guess my question is, and you may have already answered it and you can maybe elaborate. So I was going to say, what's going to be the rub? Like, what's going to be the thing that tips the scales? And because you got two powerful conferences, both loaded with money, I would argue the Big Ten is even, I believe they are even more, higher value as far as money goes. So better TV contract, I believe. Anyway, the point is, what's going to tip the scales? Would it be, based on what you said, letting the season play out to see how this new seeding system works, to where if the SEC doesn't get in the teams that they want to get in, or win a natty, or have enough representation that they want, would that tip the scales in your opinion? Would that push the SEC to say, okay, we need to do what we need to do to get to 16 because this 12 thing ain't working? That's 3 years in a row now with no SEC natty. What you think?
I think it's a great point, and I think a lot's going to be told by exactly that. I think they're going to wait and see how this thing plays out, see how competitive they are, and in terms of the conference, the power of the conferences, I really think that took a dramatic shift. And I'm going to be Captain Obvious here, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you add USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon to
Yeah.
the Big Ten, I mean, really, you look at it, and the SEC is a nice regional conference. You know what I'm saying? They're a Southern Conference. That's what they are. The Big Ten is a national conference. The Big Ten plays coast to coast, literally plays in every time zone, can dominate, from 9 o'clock in the morning till midnight. You can have games on the Big Ten, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's what differentiates, the Big Ten from the SEC, is just the lack of, the SEC is regional. I mean, they've got some great brands, they've got some great powerhouses, they play great football, but they're regional, and the Big Ten's not. I mean, the Big Ten's not, and I think it was a coup when the SEC went out and got Texas and Oklahoma. You're looking around the chessboard and you're kind of going, who could we get? Like
Yeah.
who could we get that could really move the dial? I cannot think of a more significant move that you can make than USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. I mean, because there was a time there being, you're a younger guy, but it wasn't that long ago that the Pac-12 was considered maybe the best conference in college football. Like they were
Yeah.
they were
USC
I
was
mean they
dominant. Yeah. Yeah.
USC was absolutely dominant. Cal was really good. Washington was good. UCLA was getting there. Arizona State was playing good football. Arizona was playing good football. I mean, they were good. And going up to Oregon was never, I think playing at Oregon State was a house of horrors. I mean that was really, really good football. And we just took the top 14, and now the Pac-12 is gone. I mean, that is such a seismic change. I still kind of pinch myself, remind myself that the Pac-12 is gone. The Pac-12 is gone, and essentially, and we took their standard bearers.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but I think that was the move that permanently cemented the Big Ten in terms of being the national conference. I mean, if we're like, if you looked at who's America's conference for college football, it's the Big Ten. If Notre Dame's going to join a conference for football, are they going to join the Big Ten, or are they going to join the SEC? Well, they're going to join the Big Ten. They're I think they'll obviously fight that to the very end in terms of doing it. But we have these large flagship state institutions. We lead in research money, huge academic reputation, and like I said, we're coast to coast. So I think that'll carry the day. But this year is going to tell a lot. Next year is going to tell a lot. I think the SEC is going to try to see how this thing plays out from a playoff standpoint. Try to put it to their advantage. They're going to avoid going to 9 conference games, because they like that week 11 advantage, man. And
Oh yeah.
you hate it, I hate it, but something, it's smart. It was just smart, because how many times have we just stubbed our toe, or nearly stubbed our toe, or whatever, on the path, the Michigan State game,
Yes, I thought
but
about that too.
you know
2015.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, or Michigan State in 1998. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So like, do I wish those games were, Furman or something like that? Yeah, I do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the history of Ohio State would be very different if that game wasn't a conference game and that game was Furman. We might have another national championship banner hanging in the on the halls there. But hey, the SEC's always been ahead. They've been ahead in roster management. They've been ahead in terms of medical red shirting and gray shirting and oversigning and
Yeah.
using of analysts and scheduling. I mean, they've just been ahead of the game in terms of everything. And I think for now, this is the one chance where the Big Ten's got equal leverage on them to try to get them into a system that I think works for everybody. Now, do I think the Big Ten? Do I think Ohio State will prosper in any system? I do. I think Ohio State is built to succeed in anything. But my whole goal as a fan of Ohio State is, what's the one that gets me the clearest path to a college football playoff? Because as long as we have a chip and a chair, as we showed last year, as long as we're in the playoff, I like our chances. I
Mhm.
like our chances in a playoff. So for me, if that means now that we've kind of already gone past the look, I like New Year's Day when it was just one team. So I'm a dinosaur in terms of the playoff. But now that we've gone to 12, we might as well just go to 16 and just get it over with. Anything that gives us more shots at getting in the playoff, I'm all about that. I could support that. I think that, do I like the degradation, and the lessening of importance of the regular season? I don't. I don't ever want us to become college basketball. I know you're a basketball fan, but
Yeah.
like, come let me ask you a question. Can you do you watch a college football the regular season game with the same intensity you do a regular season college football playoff game or college football game?
So hold on. Are you saying, do I watch the regular college football season or college basketball
No,
season?
basketball season, like a Michigan Ohio State game in basketball during the regular season. Does that mean as much to you as a Michigan Ohio State football game?
Not even close.
I mean,
And
like,
I love ball. I'm a
yeah,
hooper too.
will you
No.
watch the whole thing, or sometimes will you turn it off and like go to Kroger's or something like that? If you have to?
Go to Kroger. Just a
I mean,
random Kroger trip. Like,
yeah, Roger's, hey, B, can you go there and get some kitty litter? Yeah, I'll do it during the game. It's like,
yeah, bro. Listen, I try to catch all the Buckeye basketball games as a side note, but listen, it's no, and I know there's a push, like Buckeye basketball is important too. It is. I love Buckeye basketball. I got a lot of great memories, but come on, it's not even close to. So to your point, Nevada, no, it's not, and we don't want it to get. I don't think it will ever get to that point, just because football is king. But I do think it could deteriorate if we don't handle things right. But
Well, let me
but
just.
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna. No, I'm just gonna give you just a little. We're kind of jumping around here, but you're a basketball fan. Do you know how big the college basketball tournament was in 1984?
How big it was, like popular?
No, how many teams were in it? How many
Oh, how
teams were
many
in the college
teams?
basketball?
Wasn't it 32 back then?
16.
It was 16 back then.
Yes,
Wow.
16. And then it went to 32, 64, 65, 68. So, I mean, it has exploded in
Yeah.
terms of things like it when you look at the growth of the thing, that's what I'm worried about. What I'm just worried about is we go to 12, we go to 14, we go to 16, we go to 24, we go to, I mean, like, where does it stop? Like,
Yeah.
where does it stop? And the only reason I care is because I love the regular season, man. I'm telling you, some of my best memories are watching those regular season games for that lump in your throat where you're watching the game and you're like, oh my gosh, if we lose this game, all hope is, the incredible 2002 season where every game came down to the last play, and
Literally.
you're playing literally every game, and you're playing Cincinnati, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the season's going to be over now, or Illinois, the season's going to be over now, or holy bucket. What would holy buckeye mean in a 12-team playoff or a 16 playoff? It wouldn't mean
Mm,
anything. What, seeding? Well, if he doesn't make that great pass, we're instead of the number 1 seed, we're the number 6 seed, or something. Like, that doesn't have the same, holy buckeye doesn't mean the same thing as, when you've got, you know everything on the line for it. So,
yeah.
um yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the regular season of college football. I love the importance of the game. I like the idea that every game matters, and anything that lessens that for me, does. I hope that they're very judicious. I got to tell you though, I like the idea of, with the auto qualifiers. If there was what the Big Ten proposal is, there's 4 auto qualifiers. Okay, so on Big Ten championship weekend, this is how it looks: one plays 2 for the Big Ten title. Okay, 3
Mhm.
plays 6 for the auto bid, and 4 plays 5 for the auto bid. So you've got 3 Big Ten games that weekend on championship weekend to determine auto bids to the college football playoff. That creates some really interesting games right there. And
Absolutely.
uh, and I think each one of those games is meaningful in its own way. 1 versus 2. You can argue, hey, both teams are in the college football playoff. It doesn't matter, but you're playing for the Big Ten title, so there's a little bit of meaning there. 3 versus 6. I mean, heaven forbid Ohio State slip up early, have one of those seasons, and slide down to the 6 seed. And now we still have a chance. We have a chance to auto qualify by beating the 3. And same thing with the 4 versus 5. I think it creates more meaningful games, and I'm actually intrigued by that scenario of expanding. Some people have talked about getting rid of the league title games, and they're talking about expanding that from 1 to 3. I think that's really a clever way of doing it, and I think that would present us with more quality football and some really interesting games on college football playoff weekend. What do you think about that idea?
No, that would be great because we want entertainment. We want constant. I know fans. It's like a love-hate relationship with big games, like the nervousness of, oh my God, we got to win this. What happens if we don't win this? And versus you just the excitement. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a great setup, like for real. But I did want to kind of quickly mention respond to what you said earlier. You said you have to pinch yourself to realize that Pac-12 is pretty much gone, and you talked about the acquisition of the coastal teams. You know that Big Ten commercial, right, where they have they show the lay of the land of all the Big Ten teams, and when they did the update with UCLA and USC, that's when I was like, wow, this is dope. I can't believe we got like we literally have the New York market, the LA market, the Midwest market, the Pacific market. I mean, just unbelievable. So that's kind of when I had to pitch myself. But the other thing is regular season games. So because there's been debate since this season about the Michigan game not really mattering as far as winning the national title. And so to me, just kind of I wanted to mention that because I think that really cuts at the point. And some Michigan fans try to say, well, Ohio State fans trying to act like the game doesn't matter anymore. I don't think that's the case, Nevada. I think what we're saying is yes, it matters for bragging rights. There's a history. We hate you. We want to beat you. It's a very, very important game still. However, this ain't Woody and Bo's, Big Ten now. This ain't Woody and Bo's college football, meaning that game was literally the make or break game for you to have any postseason hopes. And it's just not the case anymore. So the game still matters, but it just doesn't affect the outcome of the postseason like it used to. And that's where it doesn't matter as much. And so I guess I'm fine with that. But yeah, if we go any further to where it's like semi basketball to where the regular season games is just like, whatever, let's get this Rutgers, we smashed him anyway. Let's get this whoever we playing game over with because we go into the playoffs anyway. Yeah, I'd rather not have that. And there has to be a balance. And that's kind of a scary thought because you're right, bro. College basketball, I love college basketball, but there's a lot of sleepy Big Ten basketball games. I just be like, man, like let's get to the Big Ten tournament, to the regular tournament, the NCAA tournament. So I feel you on that. It's definitely a fine line. And like you said, how far will we go? Now with football, because playing games is a lot more taxing on players and everything that comes along with it. I think that's going to, be a buffer to stop it from going too crazy. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, could you see them going past 16? I think, I guess 12 was crazy in my mind too. But I don't know. What you think it would actually go past 16? Possibly.
I mean, it's possible. It's with college football. I mean, you figure 12 regular season games, a college, a conference championship game, that's 13, and then if you had to go through four, that's 17 right there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you're already there, and I mean, what on one hand, I'm like, oh wow, that's bad. I read an article today that Carson Beck is going to make $6 million this
I
year
saw that.
at Miami, and so cry me a river. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got to play 16 games. You're getting paid $6 million to play college football.
Yeah.
I mean, holy guacamole, man. That is a lot of money. And especially for a guy like Carson Beck, who I personally don't think he's very good.
Me
I mean,
either.
it's wild that they did that. But I want to go back to one point you made about the Michigan because I've been misquoted on this many times. And I think people intentionally kind of say it. There's like, oh,
They do.
Nevada says the Michigan game doesn't matter anymore. I'm like, no, it just doesn't matter as much. And to your point,
Exactly.
it used to be you had to win that game to go to the Rose Bowl to win the national championship. It was all or nothing. It was binary. If you didn't win that game, the dream died. Everything died. So it was by necessity, by design, just the format necessity that you had to win that game because only one team got to be the national champion. So you couldn't lose games, and certainly not a game that late to get your rival and still win the national championship. Never been done by Ohio State. So it meant everything. Now, as we showed last year, you can still lose that game as the biggest favorite, I think, maybe in the history of the rivalry, lose that game and still go on and win the national championship. So by definition, it's not as impactful to your overall season. Because for me, and I know there are reasonable people on the other side of this that feel like, oh, it feels a little hollow because we lost to Michigan. Let me tell you what, it doesn't feel. There's not any part of my soul that feels that was a hollow championship last year. In fact,
Any part.
in some weird ways, it made it even better that we came back when everybody doubted us. When I mean, I think about the Michigan fans where they're the defending national champion. They go through, they're facing down this, the big hammer coming. They go into mighty Columbus. They're missing key players all over the place, and they still managed to win. And that had to be like the greatest day of their life. They're like, this is the greatest day of my life. We've lost 5 games this year, but it doesn't matter. We're on the Sharon train. This is Ohio State's in the ashes. They're going to fire Day. They're going to burn down Columbus. This is just and then we resurrect like the Phoenix and go and win the national championship and just crush their soul even more. So in a lot of ways, man, it was even better. It was even tastier. It was even more satisfying. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to set the record straight on that. Not saying the game doesn't matter. Not saying that I don't hate Michigan. it doesn't matter as much to our overall goal of winning the national championship. And I frankly, I think if anything, I think Ryan has embraced the rivalry to such a degree that I think it's almost become debilitating to him in terms of wanting to win that game so badly and in such a convincing fashion. I think he'd seen it come easy to Ohio State, seen it come easy to Urban Meyer, came easy to him his first season.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think, it's like anything when you're doing something and you lose a few games, you lose and you start pressing and you start playing outside yourself or doing things you shouldn't be doing. Instead of just relaxing and let the game come to you. I think Ryan could do well to do that. Just let the game come to him. Do your stuff, Ryan, and don't worry about all that outside noise. And Ohio State's going to be just fine.
Agreed. And I think winning this title and the way he did it will get the monkey off his back. I think, and I kind of like him going back to Ann Arbor for this game because that's where it first started. That's where he dominated them in his first game as head coach. And I'm very confident that Ryan Day is going to go up there and beat them off the strength of the monkey falling off the back with him accomplishing what he ultimately wanted to accomplish and now acquiring the Bruce Leroy glow. So I'm very confident in that standpoint. But yes, to your point, I do think Michigan fans purposely, and not just Michigan fans, whoever, but mainly Michigan fans, purposely miss quotas. They purposely trot out a false narrative and they put words in our mouth. Maybe one or two Buckeye fans on some message board said it, but they don't speak for Buckeye Nation. I feel like we speak for Buckeye Nation. Buckeye fans don't believe the game doesn't matter at all. We just believe it matters less because of the new landscape. And that's a fact. That's not our opinion. Literally, that is a fact. So that's just one thing. But to your point about the Michigan game, I use an analogy because I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a Michigan fan. He's actually one of the 0.1% that are reasonable somewhat. And he was saying that, yeah, it seems like, it's a little there is a hole, or he gave some example about bringing a filet mignon to your table and you cut into it, you eat it, and it's like, it just doesn't taste as right. It doesn't taste as good. And that's what he was trying to say with our natty. And I said, I disagree. Let's go with this example. And this is what I said. I said, it's like someone going into the casino, right? They lose their money. They're down. I mean, they blow through their money. They get down to their last dollar, right? And they go back into the casino on their last dollar and they hit the jackpot, okay? And they're in the money. I mean, they are just like, oh my God, what a turnaround. Like, I was almost dead broke. Look at this. My back was against the wall. Like, they said he's done. He's dead, whatever. And now I hit the jackpot. That's how I see the situation. And basically what I'm saying is you can dwell on earlier in the day when you went into the casino and blew all your money all the way down to your last dollar. You can focus on that part of the day, or you can focus on the rebound of hitting the jackpot when your back was against the wall. Which one are you going to focus on? The downside of earlier in the day, or the triumphant, comeback story? That's what Michigan fans want us to focus on. They want us to focus on them where we were down on our luck and back against the wall. But look how we bounced back. We hit the jackpot. Why would we dwell on that? Yes, we want to beat the team up north. We hate them. We always want to win that game every year. Don't get me wrong. No one hates them more than I do. That's not even a debate. No one hates Michigan more than I do growing up here in Columbus. So the game is very important to me, and it still is and will always be. But nothing is more important than a national championship. We talked about this the other day. I've seen 3 natties in my lifetime. Before 2002, 0 natties in my lifetime. So it's just what it is. The Michigan game used to be more important because it was tied to our Rose Bowl success or our potential AP national title. That's no longer the case. And that's just it. And like Saban said, the year they won the natty and they lost to Auburn, nobody talks about that other than Auburn fans. So that's just how I see it. But anyway, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, no, it's. I mean, look, beating Michigan's always special, but we beat Michigan plenty of times between 1968 and 2002,
Hmm.
and didn't win any national championships. And so, for me, I'm certainly not a fan that's national championship or bust because I realize how hard they are to win. And I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to let my enjoyment of the season just be solely defined by did we win the national championship or not. But the pinnacle of everything that they're doing is being number one. And the fact that we've been number one in 2002, 2014, 2024, uh, I just feel so blessed that I've been able to see three of them, because none of them are ever guaranteed. They're so hard to get to, and we think back, you think back on all those seasons and think about, moments or games or plays that could have possibly derailed the
Yeah.
national championship. I mean, in 2002, it was literally every game. It was literally every single game came down to the last play. So, I don't take any of that stuff for granted. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, nobody hates Michigan more than I do. You may hate them as much as I do, but nobody hates them more than I do,
It's
man.
a
Because I'm telling
tie.
you,
One A,
yeah,
one
I
B.
thought it's a tie because I despise them. I don't have many Michigan friends. Like, but you're like, I have a Michigan friend. I don't have any Michigan. That's because I can't even bring it because I just don't even understand. I used to have just a little bit of respect for them as a program. Felt like they were a lot like us. We played football similar, stuff. But now over the last few years, man, um,
Mm-mm.
yeah, I really just I despise them for the cheating. I despise them for the way that they've acted for the cheating. I despise them for the way that they embrace the cheater and still are celebrating, doing something so despicable. And like I said, that's why when the hammer comes down on them and they get what's coming to them, no one, we'll go 1A, 1B on this. No one will be happier than I am when that happens because, you'll feel like you do when you watch Ohio State beat Minnesota in a regular season college basketball game or something like that. You'll be all jumping up and down, screaming, running all around the house, and like, yeah, we beat Minnesota in basketball today. Yeah. And I'll be like, hey, man, it's just a regular season game. Be keeping it perfect. No, we did it. We won. But no, like I said, I can't say. I hate Michigan. I do. I unashamedly hate them, and I hate seeing them happy too. But
Yeah.
I know that national championship made them so unhappy, like
Oh
so
yeah.
so. I mean, imagine how hard were they rooting for Notre Dame in that championship game or
Oh, bro.
Texas in the semifinal? Like, all this stuff about conference pride and root for the conference and stuff like that. Do you think Michigan ever roots for Ohio State because of conference pride?
I
Give me
don't.
a break.
I root for
No
everybody
chance.
but them.
I will never root for them. I'll root for. I agree with you. I root for everybody else in the bowl games. I like to see that. Not Michigan. No, no
Mm-mm.
way. I don't care if we're 11-0 and going for the perfect 12-0. I want them to lose 70-0 and whatever it could be, because this whole thing, Big Ten. We don't chant Big Ten at the thing unless we're just deriving, Tennessee fans as we're driving them out of our stadium. But we don't do that stupid SEC chant or something like that. I don't have any Big Ten. How much Big Ten gear do you own at the house that's hanging up in your closet?
Big. This is dumb.
Exactly. The big old Tony Petiti tattoo on your arm or something like that. I mean, we don't do that. So it's like, yeah, the Big Ten stuff, it means nothing to me. I'm an Ohio State fan. That's it. I don't, if everybody else loses and Ohio State wins, that's the best day ever for me. So, go
Yep.
Bucks.
I want consistent misery for them. And it's funny that you brought them up. It's because we did the show on Connor when we he first came out with his comments on X. And I got some pushback on my social media and pushback like, you guys need to drop this, and why are you talking about this? And 24 hours later, everybody's talking about it. We were among the first, like literally Tennessee podcasters, Bama podcasters, Notre Dame podcasters, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, Mike Valenti. Everybody is doing podcasts on it. So it's just funny. It's like, because whoever made that meme that's went viral that has the guy holding up the sign that says, "Stop reminding us that we cheated." That's why they wanted to show up. I mean, that's why they want us to shut up, I should say. They don't want us to talk about it because they hate hearing about it and being reminded about it. But yes, we were one of the first to actually discuss it and address it. And it's just funny that, now everybody and their mama is doing a podcast on Connor Stallions and how ridiculous that was. So,
What now? Did you see Isaiah Hole's comments today about that? Or
yes,
there? Oh my
yes,
gosh! Oh, how embarrassing! How embarrassing! If you didn't see this, he's just talking. He's defending Connor, and he's like, he
yeah,
made a comment among. There's about 50 ridiculous things that he said in the thing, but his one comment is, "It's not clear that him sending his mom to record a game is against the rules." It's like that's what they're still holding on to. They're still holding on to. You can use third parties, and it's okay. Like, oh my gosh, these have to be. I mean, I don't. I'm not sure if it's brainwashed, brain dead. I'm not sure what it is, but it's some sort of massive delusion that's going on up there that they believe that they. I really do believe he said it. He believed it. But
yeah.
when you read that, what were your thoughts when you read that?
I mean, it's the same old stuff. It's the remember I've talked about the tension of hammer cometh now versus enjoying the drip. That was a massive hammer cometh now moment because it's just after months and months and months of this, it's mind numbing and so they're leaning on the ambiguity of the bylaws and this could mean anything and that's not very clear. I mean, they're literally taking the Netflix documentary, the Connor Stallions Sign Stealer documentary, as their talking points. They're literally that's what's crazy is Connor Stallions. I mean, I saw comments on Twitter where he left his comments of build him a statue and bars and I mean like celebrating this man, celebrating this dude. And so Nevada, I'm about no one's going to celebrate more than me. Let's say more than we, Nevada and B Moses. Nobody's going to celebrate more than us collectively when this hammer drops because we've been in the trenches. We've been on the forefront of this. And so I cannot wait because it's stuff like the Isaiah Hole comments that just is like, are you kidding me? I guess for me, as a side note, Nevada, and everybody watching, what bothers me, I'm okay with people having a different opinion, but I really, really dislike low IQ, lazy people who don't use critical thinking. And it's just like you're just because like we've been saying, Nevada, we're going to follow the truth trail. If we're looking at the evidence and is leading us away from a hammer or anything serious, we're going to report that. We're not going to just act like something's coming. No, but the evidence is clear as day and it's leading us down the hammer path. So to see all these people just completely delude themselves it's frustrating. It's mind numbing. Bro, Isaiah Hole, he's the same one. Isn't he the same one who didn't report the Alex Ude stuff? I mean, like these cats,
Yeah,
I can't, I
yeah.
can't, I can't.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's an amazing phenomenon watching this thing play out. But I echo what you're saying 100%. If we had information, we're not going to go down with the ship on a narrative if we don't believe it, man. I'm
No,
telling you, like, everything we say, we believe. We 100% believe because we have functioning brains and we have information and we can look at the stuff. But like the idea that you could use a third party to circumvent a rule is just that's just great. I mean, like, who believes that? Like who in the world possibly
crazy.
believes that I mean, their rules are designed because they're rules. They want you to prohibit some behavior, and you can't just like, well, I'll use a third party contractor, and that gets me out of the obligation to adhere to the rule. That's just a bizarre line of thinking, it's hard for me to believe that people like that like are married or have kids or drive cars or or out in public because like that's to me is like it's an indefensible take, but he made it and he went with it, man. So what can I say?
Yeah, and just real quick while we're on this, I was looking. Shout out to Intrinsic. He's the one who posted the Isaiah Hole video. Great dude, and he definitely rocks with Buckeye Scoop. So shout out to him. But on the thread, it was Michigan fans trying to argue, the fact that it didn't really make that much of a difference, or it really didn't make a difference, which is Connor's argument, although he contradicts himself with his actions and his words. Because the obvious question is, why would you put all this manpower, budget, operation into something that doesn't really matter? Like that's called critical thinking. For those out there watching, that's an example of using logic and critical thinking, not putting your go blue glasses on, but just using your mind to say, okay, that doesn't make sense. But um, there's
Well,
a quote that was
I'm
go
sorry, and
ahead.
I don't want, and I hate to interrupt you, but the idea, I know we're going to turn this into a Michigan show, but this is just too juicy. The idea that this low-level intern would be in the chair of cheer right next to the offensive and defensive coordinator on the sideline. That shows you how important he was to the pro. I mean, I have never seen that in my life of watching football. No one has ever seen that. So the idea that it was unimportant or it didn't matter it mattered enough to them to have a direct line in real time to the offensive
Yes.
coordinator, defensive coordinator, and head coach of the Michigan Wolverines on the sideline. And you guys, you don't have to be football people or insiders to know how crazy that is that happened, because you don't see somebody wandering around Urban Meyer on the sidelines whispering as you see somebody maybe holding the the wires for the headset so he doesn't choke himself to death when he runs up and down the sideline or something, but
Right.
nobody's talking to those guys in real time during it. So but anyway, but I interrupted you, B. I'll let you get back to your point.
No, great point. And with this scandal, there's so many things that have happened, things that have been said that we forget about it because it's gone on so long. We just forget about stuff. And so Michigan fans say it's only Michigan State fans and Ohio State fans. And, it's not that big of a deal. Didn't give us that much of an advantage. Basically their argument, I was reading the thread, we obtained the same thing that other schools obtained. Like there's no difference in what we had than what the other schools had. It's just the way we went about it is supposedly against the rules, but it's the same outcome. Right. So I went this post from Bob Stoops. Y'all remember him? Bob Stoops, when this first came out, he was outraged. Say what you want to say. We're Buckeye fans, but I respect Bob Stoops as a football guy, right? Nevada, you respect Bob Stoops.
Very, yeah. I mean, he's yeah, one of the greats, and a great guy too. Great guy.
Yeah. So he said, if it's true, oh, absolutely, it's a big deal. That's ridiculous. Stoops told the Morning Animals radio show in October. Everyone's saying, oh, it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. I've never heard of that. In all my years of football and every team I've ever been on, sure, do we look across the field? And if you can see it, that's your job to do it. You know what I'm saying. If I'm able to just in my plain eye look over there and know what they're doing, I should be doing that. But to video people and to send people to scout and marry up a signal with the play, no. That's terrible. It goes against everything we're about. That's wrong if it happened, and it absolutely happened. And you better preach, Bishop Bob Stoops. You preach. Like, do you hear the adamacy? Like, this is a great football mind, a respected football mind. He did not hold back. There's a clear difference between deciphering signals from your sideline and actually getting video to be able to take the time to sync it up with plays. That's next level. And that's why you can't do it. And that's why it's cheating. And that's why there was an advantage. Stop playing dumb, Michigan fans. Or are you just really dumb? Like, serious question. But anyway, that quote, I remember when he first said it, Nevada. But again, time goes on and it kind of leaves your mind. And then when it's represented, it's like, man, he was hot. And there was other coaches. There was also an article, I don't know if you remember this, in the New York Times. They surveyed several dozen coaches, and it was like 80% of them agreed with Bob Stoops. They were outraged by this. So, but you forget that because it's been, almost 2 years or whatever, and it kind of slips your mind. But this is a big deal, and this is why we cover it so much.
Well, they did a poll of the coaches anonymously, where they were like, how big of a difference do you make? And I think there was 3 to 7 points was like 1/3, and then 7 to 10 points another, and then greater than 10 was like I mean, that's the range of impact that this had. But nobody was saying it didn't have an impact. Nobody was, and Urban Meyer has come out, really talked about what a
Yeah.
humongous, so if you've got Urban Meyer and Bob Stoops talking about something, those are two pretty, credentialed college football coaches. But look, you don't need to be Bob Stoops or Urban Meyer. You've coached Pee Wee football, and you know yourself what a
Yeah.
big difference it would make if you have even if you didn't know the play, but if you just knew run or pass, what a difference it would make in terms of what you could do defensively, or whether the defense was running a zone or man, offensively, how big of a difference it make to your play calling. I mean, it would be the whole game. You would never lose.
Yeah, not at all. You're right. As I've told y'all, I coach my son's flag football team. We just won the championship. We won a nice little ring and all that. I was calling the plays on offense and all that, right? If they would have known what we were going to do, they could have sent timely blitzes. They're like, that's just flag football, let alone big boy football, knowing if it's a run or pass or if it's a screen or if it's a whatever. Like it's ridiculous. And so right now I'm in hammer cometh mode, hammer cometh now mode, just thinking about this and talk. Nevada, I don't want drip drip right now. Maybe when I wake up in the morning, I'll wake up in the morning and say, okay, drip drip. But right now, I want this to be released because I'm tired of these fools. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of Connor Stallions on his media tours. I'm tired of Michigan fans on social media just being absolutely stupid. And I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up. All right.
You're ready. You're ready, man. You're ready. You're
I'm
ready
ready.
for that. You're ready for that NCAA baby to be birthed, man. Birth that baby. Now let's go.
Yes, like Thor. He was like, you want me to put the hammer down? And Iron Man
I
was
will
like,
put
no,
it
no.
down. Don't do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm ready for. But anyway, so all right, looks like we do got a super chat here from what is it? Never forget one. Thanks for the 199. I appreciate that. No comment, but I appreciate the super chat either way. Thanks so much. Never forget one. But listen, great show, fun show. And it's funny, it did turn into to the Michigan rant, which is, I mean, but we're there. We're right there. We're on the precipice. It also feels like with all this talk with Connor and TCU coach Dykes, it just seems like it's kind of hinting. And I know you said you think it's not going to come for a few more weeks, and maybe it's not. But the little rumblings make you think it's like it's about to come. So I don't know. We'll see, man.
Yeah, I agree. You can definitely feel like there's tremors, man. You can definitely feel the tremors happening, and I think I think the drum beats are getting stronger, and the people that I talk to are all adamant that nothing's changed, that they don't have any doubt of the outcome of this, and nor do I. I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to be that will be a fun show. As much fun as we have on these shows every night, I guarantee that'll be a banger. That'll be one for the ages there.
Yep, it is. So definitely you got that coming up. We know that's coming at some point before the season, or at least I think technically the deadline is what, September. 90 days is what, September 2nd or something, if they wait to the 90th day. But most likely it's going to be before kickoff. So you got that. Then of course you got fall camp coming with the big game against Texas. I mean, yeah, so we got a lot. I know we're in the dead of the off season right now. This is the worst time, for football. But and also we got the Hall of Fame game this month too. So we got stuff right around the corner, but it's killing me that we don't know when it's coming, but it's also kind of exciting to know that it's coming and it can come any day. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
like
so
Christmas.
I'm just
Christmas could be any day here in the next 60
yeah.
days.
Yeah, it really could. But anyway, so yeah, another great show, another fun show. Buckeye Scoop family, appreciate you. If you have not liked the video, like it now and make sure you subscribe. Click that subscribe button. Some of y'all on here watching, you haven't clicked that button. You watch every time we come on, but you haven't clicked it. Click that button. What you doing? But either way, we will see y'all next time. We appreciate you always. Buckeye Scoop family, peace. Go Bucks.